Jay, so we were having a conversation and we were talking about success, and we started talking about the numbers and how some people may not need 10, 50, $100 million to retire. And so I just want you to, share your thoughts a little bit more about that.
Well, they don't. People really have a false sense of how much money they make, how much money they need. Some people don't even have a false sense. They just don't know. They don't pay attention. They don't do the math. They just get up in the morning, go to work. They, get their paycheck every week, every other week, and they pay the bills that's in front of them. You know what I'm saying? And some people have fun and pay the bills after. Some people pay the bills and have a little fun after. But most people aren't really paying attention until it's too late. But I started studying FIRE, the Financial Independent Retire Early, and I started seeing people retire from their jobs early with not a lot of money. You know what I mean? Compared to what you would want to see, what you would hear people saying on social media, where people are retiring with, $1 million, just under $1 million, stuff like that. 1.2, not 1.2 billion, not 50 million. And it ain't like they're not doing anything. Like, no, they're not working anymore. They're not working a job anymore. They probably had a side hustle for years, and now they're doing that full time. They've moved from New York City or San Francisco, Chicago, someplace where it's fucking expensive, and moved to, another country or a smaller town or somewhere like that. And they're sitting there with $1 million cash, like, liquid, and, and revenue coming in from their side hustle. And they're good, you know what I'm saying, at 45, 50, not 65, 67, And I just believe that we're so misguided by social media, because you can't really attain anything. You leave it up to social media, nothing's, a win. Like, almost nothing is a win. Like, you got $1 million, it ain't enough. You ain't gonna survive. You only got $1 million. When you're gonna have the majority of people on this earth leave this earth without ever having or seeing $1 million. And so they couldn't, some of them people were striving for $1 million and didn't have it, but they didn't have a good life according to people on social media, because they never had $1 million. But their bills were paid. Their family didn't want for anything. You know what I'm saying? That they didn't need anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna have once to the day we go, no matter if you be here for another 100 years. But you start realizing that you haven't missed the meals that you needed. You haven't had the clothes that you wanted, whatever. Like, those things, the needs were always met. And that's, at that point, is where happiness is supposed to kick in. It's like, once you see that you can consistently meet your needs, and then you can start putting away some money and start seeing that, all right, well, even if something goes wrong, so if I don't know if this is going to be edited properly, we'll find out. We'll try to get it together. But I almost got into an accident. Wasn't my fault. Somebody was crossing over with no signal and came all the way into my lane from 2 lanes over. So it was nuts, but everything's good. But I was in the middle of saying, your happiness should start once you're able to meet your needs consistently. Because if you're able to meet your needs consistently, and then if you're doing what you're supposed to do with your money and saving and investing, then you'll start to see that you can meet your needs even if something bad happens. If you're not worried about if your car breaks down, you can, afford to pay for whatever fixings you need with your car, and still your life still goes on. And then now you're a little bit better at that point. But we find people not celebrating that because the number isn't matching what some social media so-called guru is saying. If that number is you got $10,000 saved and you're able to do that, you should be rejoicing off of that. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying that you don't want more, by all means, but you have to be faithful over that few, and you have to be able to handle that amount of money. And some people's lives don't require that. Some people's lives don't require $15 million for them to be successful. like literally. But we requiring everybody to have a certain amount of money, and then the truth of the matter is everybody can't have that amount of money at the same time. They can't, and they won't, because money is a tool, and you have to be trained to handle that tool at the level that you have it. You need to be able to have different. Your mind has to be right to go from 10,000 to 100,000. Your mind has to be right to go from 100,000 to 1,000,000. Your mind and skill set has to be right to go from 1,000,000 to 10 million. Different problems. It ain't. A lot of times, the funny thing is, you're gonna run out of stuff to buy. It ain't that you like some people. Somebody who got 100 million can buy something that most of the things that somebody who got 500 million. Pretty much most of the things. Anything that you need to live, you can definitely get that. You know, you want to get some ridiculous shit, that's something different. But needs, you're good. It's the problems that you have to be prepared to handle. That's like any other equipment. You have to have a certain kind of license to drive the car I'm driving. But I get an 18-wheeler, I got to get another license. It's not getting a license to learn how to drive. It's to make sure that you don't have problems. You ain't running people off the road. You ain't killing your damn self. You ain't messing up the merchandise, because that's a commercial vehicle. You know, you have to know how to do that stuff. You have to know how to turn better. You have to know how to handle the tools that you're given. And the bigger the tools, the more training you're going to need. And so instead of teaching people and talking to people about how to deal with more money, we just talk about how much money you don't have, and not telling them that they don't have it because they don't know what to do with it. You're not qualified to have $10 million yet. This is why lottery ticket people lose money. Because you got $500 million overnight and you're still doing $500 shit. That's a recipe for success. I mean, a recipe for disaster, not for success. Soon as you get that money, you do not change. Your attitude is going to be the same thing. I could just do more of the shit that I've been doing. So if I'm buying $500, let's say I'm going to buy 100 of them. And it's not bringing me any value. It's not doing anything for me. So before long, that's why they broke. It's the mindset. And our mindset has to understand is that we have to celebrate the things that when we get past the point where we have to worry about our needs, then we have to start worrying about focusing on how to manage our money at that level. And then as it grows and accumulates, learn how to manage it at the higher levels that you go. And then money is a sweet thing about that tool. And that girl, she gonna come to the person who know how to handle her right. She don't want to be around nobody who don't know how to handle her right, don't know how to treat her. And I'm gonna let you know right now, she don't want no jokers who worship her. Because tools don't want people wielding it that worship them. You supposed to be putting them in check. And you have to get to a point where you get past the point where you're worshiping money. You understand that I use money to get what I want and what I need. Not if you don't bless me, Mr. Money or Mrs. Money, I'm not going to be who I need to be. No, your attitude has to change about money. But we don't talk about that enough. We always just talking about what you have or don't have, and you don't have enough, when some of y'all have more than enough already. Is if you shift your focus and shift your mindset, stop some of the things you're doing and start doing some of the other things you need to be doing. And I'm saying it like this because I'm not gonna go and say, don't buy this clothes, don't buy this car. I'm not that person. Buy the car you want. Just don't buy 5 of them, because you only got one ass to sit in there. Buy the house you want. Don't try to buy 8 of them just to be buying them. If you ain't no investor, you ain't trying to buy, because again, it's a whole different ballgame. Investors buy differently. There's a skill to that. But just buying a house to live in, hey, you don't need all those houses. You don't need 18 damn bathrooms. You know what I'm saying? And you only got 4 bedrooms. Like, It's just stupid stuff. But buy the house you want. Buy it. Buy the clothes you want. I don't give a damn about the Louis, Gucci, Prada bags. Do it. But how many of them do you need? That's the problem. It ain't about, buy what you want. Buy what makes you feel good. But do you need 80 of them? Do you need 80 bags? More than likely you don't. You might be okay with 7, 8. So I'm not going to be the person to tell you not to do that. You know, you got to live. This life is to be lived. So you would be a damn fool to have $1,000 next, you got $10 million, and you just sitting there being a hermit. No, live your life. But you don't. Our problem, especially in this country, is we are overly indulgent on shit. You don't have to have a plate fit for 3 people. Just get enough for you to eat, and then go back later. That's biblical. That's Old Testament. Your food will be provided to you for the day. Don't hoard nothing for the next day. That will be provided the next day. And you're the one that's doing it. So do the same thing. And then you'll start seeing how your money treats you, how you conduct yourself. But don't overly indulge.